Welcome to Market Updates HQ, your command center for navigating today's volatile markets. We break down what's really happening with stocks, Bitcoin, gold, and the assets that matter most to your wealth. No fluff, no hype, just clear analysis of market moves and where smart money is flowing. Subscribe to stay ahead of the market. Let's grow your wealth together. Imagine waking up one morning and your government can see every single transaction you've ever made. Every coffee, every donation, every purchase, all of it, in real time. Now imagine they don't like what you said online, so they freeze your money instantly, just frozen. Not your bank account, your actual money. No court order, no appeal, just frozen. Imagine your savings have an expiry date. If you don't spend them within 90 days, they disappear. And you can only spend on what the government approves. Certain products, certain people, everything is controlled. This is not a movie. It's a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, and 130 countries are building one right now. Understand this early, and you have a massive advantage. Today, I'll show you exactly what this means for your freedom. Let's get into it. Let me start with the basics because most people have never even heard of a CBDC. A central bank digital currency is digital money issued directly by a country's central bank. Not by a commercial bank like Barclays or Chase, not by a fintech company like Revolut or PayPal, by the central bank itself. The Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the People's Bank of China. That distinction matters enormously, and I'll explain why. Right now, when you have money in your bank account, it's actually an IOU from your bank. The bank promises to give you that money when you ask for it, but it's the bank's system, the bank's ledger, the bank's rules. The bank sits between you and the central bank. With a CBDC, that middle layer disappears. Your money sits directly with the central bank. They are the bank. They hold your money. They see your transactions. They set the rules. There is no intermediary. There is no buffer between you and the state. Now think about what that means compared to cash. Cash is anonymous. You hand someone a 20-pound note, nobody knows. No record, no trace, no surveillance. That's financial privacy. That's freedom. It's also why governments have been quietly reducing cash usage for years. Contactless limits going up, bank branches closing, ATMs disappearing. The infrastructure for cash is being systematically dismantled. A CBDC is the replacement they're building, and it has one critical feature that cash doesn't have. Every single transaction is recorded. The central bank can see who sent money, who received it, how much, when, where, and what it was spent on. In real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's not a bug. That's the feature. Now, governments will tell you this is about modernizing the financial system, making payments faster, reducing fraud, financial inclusion for the unbanked. And on the surface, those sound reasonable. But when you look at what CBDCs actually enable, what they're actually designed to do, and what some countries are already doing with them, the picture gets very dark very quickly. Ray Dalio, one of the most respected investors in the world, the man who built the world's largest hedge fund, said it plainly in a recent interview. He called CBDCs a government control tool. Not a payment innovation, not a financial upgrade, a control tool. He said they give the state the ability to monitor and control every financial transaction of every citizen. And he's not some internet conspiracy theorist. He's a billionaire who's been advising governments for decades. So let me walk you through exactly what a CBDC allows a government to do. I've broken this down into 5 specific powers, and I want you to really think about each one of these. Not as some abstract future scenario, but as something that could apply to you, your family, and your money within the next 5 to 10 years. Power number 1, total financial surveillance. With a CBDC, every single purchase you make is visible to the central bank. Every coffee you buy at Starbucks, every grocery trip, every Amazon order, every donation you make to a charity, a church, a political campaign, or a protest fund. Every subscription, every transfer to a friend, every payment to a business, all of it logged, tracked, and stored indefinitely. Now you might be thinking, my bank already sees my transactions. And that's true, but there's a crucial difference. Right now, your bank sees your transactions, but the government has to go through legal processes to access them. Warrants, court orders, formal requests. There are barriers, however imperfect, between your financial data and the state. With a CBDC, the central bank is the bank. They don't need to request your data from anyone. They already have it. The barrier disappears entirely. And here's what most people don't think about. When you combine transaction data with location data, purchase patterns, and social connections, you can build an incredibly detailed profile of any person. What they believe, who they associate with, what media they consume, what causes they support, their health choices, their vices. Financial surveillance isn't just about money, it's about knowing everything about everyone. Power number 2, freezing and restricting accounts. This is the one that should concern every single person watching this, regardless of your politics. With a CBDC, a government can freeze your access to your own money instantly. No court order needed, no legal process, just a switch that gets flipped. And this isn't theoretical. This already happened with the traditional banking system. In Canada in February 2022, during the Freedom Convoy protests, the government invoked the Emergencies Act and ordered banks to freeze the accounts of protesters, their families, and even people who donated to the movement. Regular people, truck drivers, small business owners, people who sent $50 to support the convoy, their bank accounts were frozen. Now, with the traditional banking system, this was messy. Banks had to manually process the freezes. Some banks pushed back. It took time and created a massive public backlash. The government eventually had to revoke the Emergencies Act because of the political fallout. But with a CBDC, none of that friction exists. The freeze is instant, automatic, and complete. No bank to push back, no manual process to slow things down, just a government database that says your money is now inaccessible. And it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with the convoy. The point is that the infrastructure to freeze anyone's money for any reason instantly is being built right now. Power number 3, and this is the one that genuinely terrifies me. Programmable money. This means the government can write rules directly into your currency. Rules that determine how, when, where, and on what you can spend your own money. Let me give you specific examples of what's already being tested. Expiry dates. Your CBDC could have a timer on it. The government deposits stimulus money into your account, but it expires in 90 days. If you don't spend it, it disappears. Gone. The purpose is to force spending and prevent saving. China has already tested this with the digital yuan. They issued stimulus payments with built-in expiry dates to force consumer spending. This isn't a hypothetical. It's deployed technology. Geographic restrictions. Your money could be programmed so it can only be spent within a certain area, only within your city, only within your county. The idea being to keep money circulating in local economies. But the implication is that your financial freedom of movement can be restricted at the push of a button. Product restrictions. Your CBDC could be programmed so you cannot buy certain things. Too much alcohol this month? Blocked. Trying to buy ammunition? Blocked. Want to donate to a political organization the government doesn't like? Blocked. The currency itself enforces the rules. No human decision maker needed. No appeal process. The code says no. Carbon allowances. This one is already being discussed at policy level in multiple countries. Your CBDC could track your carbon footprint based on what you buy. Too many flights? Your carbon allowance is used up and further travel purchases are blocked. Bought too much red meat? Flagged. Drove too many miles? Restricted. Your money becomes a tool to enforce environmental policy directly on individuals. Now, some people will say that's a good thing. We need to reduce carbon emissions. And maybe we do. But the question isn't whether climate change is real. The question is whether you want your government to have the ability to control what you buy, eat, and where you travel, enforced automatically through your money, with no opt-out and no appeal. Power number 4, negative interest rates. Right now, if a central bank wants to push interest rates negative, it's almost impossible, because people can just withdraw cash and hold physical money. Cash is the escape valve. But if cash is eliminated and everyone is on a CBDC, there is no escape. The central bank can set a negative interest rate of -2%, -5%. Whatever they want, and your money literally loses value while sitting in your wallet. It's a tax on saving. It's forced spending. And there is nothing you can do about it because there's no cash to withdraw. Power number 5, social credit integration. And this is where everything together into something truly Orwellian. China already operates a social credit system. If you're not familiar with it, here's how it works. Citizens are assigned a score based on their behavior. Pay your bills on time, score goes up. Jaywalk, score goes down. Post something critical of the government online, score goes down. Associate with people who have low scores, your score goes down too. And the consequences are real. People with low social credit scores in China have been banned from buying plane tickets, banned from train travel, had their internet speeds throttled, been publicly listed on a blacklist, had their children denied access to private schools, and been blocked from certain jobs. Now combine that system with a CBDC. Your social credit score directly determines your financial access. High score? Full access to your money. You can buy what you want, travel where you want, invest how you want. Low score? Your financial access is restricted. Maybe your spending limits are reduced. Maybe certain categories of purchases are blocked. Maybe your money gets a higher negative interest rate as punishment. Maybe your account is frozen entirely. This is not science fiction. The infrastructure for both systems already exists in China. The digital yuan has 260 million wallets. The social credit system is operational in many provinces. Connecting them is a software update, not a technological breakthrough. And before you say that could never happen in the West, remember that Canada froze bank accounts based on political activity in 2022. Remember that the UK government is building a digital pound, despite the majority of public consultation responses raising privacy concerns. The tools are being built, the precedent is being set, the question is only how far and how fast. And now let me show you just how far along this is globally, because this isn't some distant future. Countries are building, piloting, and in some cases already running CBDCs right now. Let's start with the big ones. China is the most advanced. They launched the digital yuan, also called ECNY, in 2020. It's been expanded to over 25 cities. Over 260 million individual wallets have been created, and the transaction volume has exceeded 7 trillion yuan, which is roughly 950 billion US dollars. The Chinese government has tested programmable features, including those expiry dates on stimulus payments I mentioned. They can also track every transaction in real time. This is the model that other authoritarian governments are watching very closely. Nigeria launched the Naira in October 2021, making it one of the first countries in Africa to launch a CBDC. When adoption was slow, the government took a drastic step. They restricted cash withdrawals from ATMs and banks to extremely low daily limits, essentially forcing people onto the digital system. The backlash was severe. People rioted in the streets. There were reports of violence at banks. And here's the irony. When the government tried to force people into the Naira, Bitcoin trading volumes in Nigeria absolutely exploded. People chose decentralized money over government-controlled money. That tells you everything you need to know. The European Central Bank is building the digital euro. Christine Lagarde has said it will launch around 2027 to 2028. They claim it will have privacy protections, but the technical architecture being built allows for full transaction monitoring. And privacy protections can be removed with a policy change at any time. Once the infrastructure exists, the capability exists. India's digital rupee is in pilot with over 5 million users across multiple banks. Russia is testing the digital ruble with plans for full deployment in the coming years. Brazil, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and dozens of other countries are in various stages of research, development, or pilot programs. And then there's the United Kingdom. The Bank of England has been researching a digital pound, which the media has informally called Britcoin. They ran a public consultation and the results were striking. The majority of responses raised serious concerns about surveillance and privacy. People do not want this. But the Bank of England acknowledged the concerns and announced it is moving forward with development anyway. Here's the number that puts this in perspective. The Atlantic Council's CBDC tracker shows that over 130 countries, representing 98% of global GDP, are now exploring or actively developing a central bank digital currency. This is not a fringe experiment. This is the most coordinated change to the global financial system in modern history. And most people have absolutely no idea it's happening. So now let's talk about the other side of this, because understanding the threat is only half the story. The other half is understanding what the alternative looks like. And this is where Bitcoin becomes one of the most important technologies of our lifetime, not just as an investment, but as a tool for financial sovereignty. Let me put CBDCs and Bitcoin side by side so the contrast is crystal clear. CBDCs are centralized. One entity, the central bank, controls everything. Bitcoin is decentralized. No single entity controls it. It runs on a global network of thousands of computers that no government can shut down. CBDCs are surveilled. Every transaction visible to the state in real time. Bitcoin is pseudonymous. Transactions are recorded on a public blockchain, but they're not automatically linked to your identity, especially if you use proper privacy practices. CBDCs are programmable by the government. They can restrict, expire, or freeze your money. Bitcoin is permissionless. Once you hold it in self-custody, no one can freeze it, program restrictions on it, or set an expiry date. It's yours. Period. CBDCs have unlimited supply. The central bank can create as much as they want, diluting your purchasing power. Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million. That number will never change. It's coded into the protocol and enforced by the network. In a world where governments are printing money and now building tools to control how you spend it, a scarce, censorship-resistant asset is not just valuable, it's essential. And the real-world evidence backs this up. Every single time a government demonstrates that it can and will control people's money, Bitcoin adoption spikes. When Nigeria restricted cash and pushed the Naira, Nigeria became one of the highest Bitcoin adoption countries in the world per capita. People didn't want government money. They wanted money the government couldn't control. When Canada froze bank accounts during the Freedom Convoy, Bitcoin and crypto donations surged because they were the only way to move money that the government couldn't stop. When China cracked down on crypto and launched the digital yuan, Chinese citizens found ways to continue using Bitcoin through VPNs and peer-to-peer exchanges. The pattern is unmistakable. Government overreach drives Bitcoin adoption. CBDCs are accelerating that overreach globally. which means CBDCs might be the single best catalyst for Bitcoin adoption in the next decade. Every country that launches a CBDC is essentially running a marketing campaign for Bitcoin. Here's what your government can do with your money, and here's the alternative where they can't. So, what should you actually do about all of this? I'm not a financial advisor. This is not investment advice, but here are 7 things I think everyone should be thinking about seriously. Number 1, educate yourself. Most people have never heard of a CBDC. They have no idea what's being built or what it enables. You're already ahead of the curve just by watching this video. But keep going. Read about your country's specific CBDC plans, understand the timeline, understand the features they're proposing. Number 2, learn about Bitcoin and self-custody, not your keys, not your coins. If you hold Bitcoin on an exchange like Coinbase or Binance, it can be frozen just like a bank account. The exchange is the intermediary, just like a bank. Self-custody means you hold your own private keys, ideally on a hardware wallet. Once Bitcoin is in self-custody, no government, no exchange, no company can freeze it or take it from you. Number 3, actually set up a hardware wallet. Don't just learn about it, do it. Buy a ledger, a Trezor, or a cold card. Transfer even a small amount of Bitcoin to it. Get comfortable with the process. The time to learn is now, not when your bank account gets frozen. Number 4, pay attention to legislation. In the UK, the digital pound is still in development. In Europe, the digital euro hasn't launched yet. In the US, there's active political debate about CBDCs. There is still time to influence the outcome through public consultations, contacting your MP or representative, and supporting organizations that advocate for financial privacy. Your voice matters more now than it will once the infrastructure is built. Number 5, diversify your financial life. Don't keep everything in one system. Physical cash still exists and still has value. Gold and silver are tangible assets that exist outside the digital system. Bitcoin in self-custody is censorship-resistant digital money. The goal is to not be 100% dependent on any single system that a government can control with the flip of a switch. Number 6, use cash deliberately. Every time you use cash instead of card, you're voting for financial privacy. You're supporting the infrastructure that keeps cash alive. ATMs, cash-accepting businesses, physical currency circulation. Use cash for everyday purchases. Withdraw it regularly. Keep it alive. Number 7, talk about this. Share this video. Have the conversation with your family and friends. Most people have no idea this is happening. The biggest risk with CBDCs isn't that people will fight against them and lose. It's that they'll be implemented quietly while nobody is paying attention. Awareness is the first line of defense. The battle for financial privacy is one of the defining issues of our generation. This isn't left versus right. This isn't about politics. This is about whether you believe that you should have the right to spend your own money without a government watching, controlling, and programming every transaction. CBDCs represent the most powerful financial surveillance and control tool ever created in human history. And they're being built right now, in your country, with your tax money, without your consent. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Thank you for joining us at Market Updates HQ. If this analysis was valuable to you, consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Staying ahead in these volatile times requires accurate information, and we're committed to providing you with just that before you make your next financial decision. We'd also love to hear from you. Leave a comment below on which markets you're tracking and what topics you'd like us to cover next. Stay informed, and we'll see you in the next update.